The Israel Aircraft Industries Kfir, Hebrew, Lion Cub, is an Israeli-built all-weather, multi-role combat aircraft based on a modified French Dassault Mirage 5 airframe, with Israeli avionics and an Israeli-built version of the General Electric J79 turbojet engine. Development. Background. The project that would ultimately give birth to the Kfir can be traced back to Israel's need for adapting the Dassault Mirage 3C to the specific requirements of the Israeli Air Force, IAF. The all-weather, delta-winged Mirage 3J was the first Mach 2 aircraft acquired by Israel from then-close ally France, and constituted the backbone of the IAF during most of the 1960s, until the arrival of the Douglas A-4 Skyhawk and, most importantly, the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II, by the end of the decade. While the Mirage 3J proved to be extremely effective in the air superiority role, its relatively short range of action imposed some limitations on its usefulness as a ground attack aircraft. Thus, in the mid-1960s, at the request of Israel, Dassault Aviation began developing the Mirage 5, a fair-weather, ground attack version of the Mirage 3. Following the suggestions made by the Israelis, advanced avionics located behind the cockpit were removed, allowing the aircraft to increase its fuel-carrying capacity while reducing maintenance costs. By 1968, Dassault had finished production of the 50 Mirage 5JS paid for by Israel, but an arms embargo imposed upon Israel by the French government in 1967 prevented deliveries from taking place. The Israelis replied by producing an unlicensed copy of the Mirage 5, the Nesher, with technical specifications for both the airframe and the engine obtained by Israeli spies. Some sources claim Israel received 50 Mirage 5s in crates from French Air Force, ADA, while the ADA took over the 50 aircraft originally intended for Israel. Design. The Kfir program originated in the quest to develop a more capable version of the IAI Nesher, which was already in series production. After General de Gaulle embargoed the sale of arms to Israel, the IAF feared that it might lose qualitative superiority over its adversaries in the future, which were receiving increasingly advanced Soviet aircraft. The main and most advanced type of aircraft available to the IAF was the Mirage, but a severe problem developed due to the Mirage fleet's depletion due to attrition after the Six-Day War. Domestic production would avoid the problem of the embargo completely. Efforts to reverse engineer and reproduce components of the Mirage were aided by Israeli espionage efforts to obtain technical assistance and blueprints from third-party Mirage operators. Two power plants were initially selected for trials, the General Electric J79 turbojet and the Rolls-Royce Spey turbofan. In the end, the J79 was selected, not least because it was the same engine used on the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II, which the Israelis began to acquire from the United States in 1969, along with a license to produce the J79 themselves. The J79 was clearly superior to the original French Adder 09, providing a dry thrust of 49 knots, 11,000 lbf, and an afterburning thrust of 83.4 knots, 18,750 lbf. In order to accommodate the new power plant on the Mirage III's airframe, and to deliver the added cooling required by the J79, the aircraft's rear fuselage was slightly shortened and widened, its air intakes were enlarged, and a large air inlet was installed at the base of the vertical stabilizer, so as to supply the extra cooling needed for the afterburner. The engine itself was encased in a titanium heat shield. A two-seat Mirage 3J fitted with the GE J79 made its first flight in September 1970, and was soon followed by a re-engined Nesher, which flew in September 1971. An improved prototype of the aircraft, with the name RAM-B, RAM means thunder, the RAM-A was the Nesher, made its first flight in June 1973. It had an extensively revised cockpit, a strengthened landing gear, and a considerable amount of Israeli-built avionics. The internal fuel tanks were slightly rearranged, their total capacity being increased to 713 US gal, 2,700 liters. There were unconfirmed reports that a number of the original Mirage IIICs, re-engined with the J79 and given the name Barak, Lightning, took part in the Yom Kippur War of 1973, but some sources point out that there is no evidence that these aircraft ever existed. Operational history. Israel. The Kfir entered service with the IAF in 1975, the first units being assigned to the 101st First Fighter Squadron. Over the following years, several other squadrons were also equipped with the new aircraft. The role of the Kfir as the IAF's primary air superiority asset was short-lived, as the first F-15 Eagle fighters from the United States were delivered to Israel in 1976. The Kfir's first recorded combat action took place on November 9, 1977, during an Israeli airstrike on a training camp at Tel Azia, in Lebanon. The only air victory claimed by a Kfir during its service with the IAF occurred on June 27, 1979 when a Kfir C.2 shot down a Syrian MiG-21. By the time of the Israeli invasion of southern Lebanon in 1982, Operation Peace for Galilee, the IAF was able to use both its F-15S and F-16S for air superiority roles, leaving the Kfirs to carry out unescorted strike missions. Shortly afterwards, all IAF C.2s began to be upgraded to the C.7 version, with enhanced weight performance, making the Kfir more suitable to its new fighter-bomber role. During the second half of the 1990s, the Kfirs were withdrawn from active duty in the IAF, after almost 20 years of continuous service. Israel Aerospace Industries announced in August 2013 it will offer pre-owned Kfir fighter jets to foreign customers, with a 40-year guarantee. Unit price is reported to be $20 million. A few Eastern European and Latin American countries have expressed interest, Israel's Globe's Business Daily reported. By October 2013, Israel Aerospace Industries was in very advanced negotiations with at least 2 air forces interested in the Kfir Block 60. An aircraft can be delivered within 1 year, with 2 squadrons to be sold in 2 to 3 years. The Block 60 is offered with the ELTA-L/M2032 with open architecture avionics to allow a customer to install other systems. The sensor provides an all-aspect, look-down/shoot-down performance in air-to-air and air-to-ground missions, with the capability to simultaneously track up to 64 targets. The J-79 has been overhauled to 0 flight hours, and would need replacement after 1,600 hours. Foreign service. Since the J-79 turbojet engine is a U.S. design, although manufactured under license in Israel, all export sales of the Kfir are subject to prior approval being granted by the U.S. State Department, a fact that has limited the sale of the Kfir to foreign nations. As of 2006, the IAI Kfir has been exported to Colombia, Ecuador, and Sri Lanka. United States. Between 1985 and 1989, the United States Navy and United States Marine Corps leased 25 examples of the Kfir C.1, which were officially designated F-21A Lion and modified for use as unarmed adversaries, mock opponents in dissimilar air combat training, DACT. These aircraft had narrow-span canard foreplanes and a single small rectangular strake on either side of the nose, which considerably improved the aircraft's maneuverability and handling at low speeds. The 12 F-21 aircraft leased to the U.S. Navy, painted in a 3-tone blue-gray ghost scheme, were operated by Fighter Squadron 43, VF-43, based at NAS Oceana, Virginia. In 1988, they were returned and replaced by the F-16N. The 13 aircraft leased to the U.S. Marine Corps were operated by Marine Fighter Training Squadron 401, VMFT-401, a 4th Marine Aircraft Wing/Marine Corps Reserve Squadron at Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, Arizona. In addition to the blue-gray painted aircraft, the USMC also had some F-21s painted in Israeli colors and desert flogger schemes, named because they were to represent the schemes often worn by Warsaw Pact MiG-23 floggers. The Kfir was utilized because they both shared the common characteristic of being very fast, Mach 2+, and fast accelerating aircraft with relatively poor maneuverability. The MiG-23 was targeted as the enemy aircraft because at this time the MiG-23 was being introduced in very large numbers, and was a very capable aircraft compared to earlier Soviet types. These USMC F-21 aircraft were replaced by F-5E aircraft when the F-21s were returned in 1989, although this left the training units without any aircraft capable of accurately simulating the Mach 2 Plus and fast-accelerating MiG-23. 6 Kfirs are also used by the U.S. firm Airborne Tactical Advantage Company, ATAC, a civilian defense contractor that provides tactical adversary aircraft services to the U.S. military. ATAC provides airborne tactical training, threat simulation, and research and development. ATAC's corporate headquarters and primary operating location is located at Patrick Henry International Airport in Newport News, VA, with additional permanent operating locations at U.S. Naval Air Stations and Marine Corps Air Stations in California, Nevada, Hawaii, and Japan. ATAC also operates Hawker Hunter F.58s. On March 6, 2012, an ATAC Kfir, FAA registration N404AX, crashed while landing at NAS Fallon, Nevada after a flight supporting the Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center. The pilot, retired USN Captain Carol Lex Lefon, was fatally injured. Colombia. As a result of a trade agreement between Colombia and Israel in 1989, the Colombian government bought a batch of 12 XIAF Kfir C.2s and 1 TC.2, which were delivered to the Colombian Air Force, FAC, in 1989-1990. Since then, all the C.2s have been upgraded to the C.7 variant. The FAC Kfirs have been widely used in ground attack missions during counterinsurgency operations against Colombian terrorists. Colombian Kfirs are armed with Python 3 IR homing AAMs. As of 2004, 2 aircraft had been lost in accidents. In February 2008, Colombia signed a deal with the Israeli government for an additional 24 XIAF Kfir aircraft. It was estimated that these aircraft will most probably be upgraded by Israel Aerospace Industries to C.10 standard. In June 2009, IAI delivered the first batch of upgraded Kfirs to the Colombian Air Force in a ceremony held at IAI's facilities in Israel. In attendance at the ceremony was Juan Hurtado Cano, the Colombian ambassador to Israel, high-ranking officers from the Colombian Air Force, and executives from the Israeli Ministry of Defense, IMOD Sabat. This was a part of a multi-year contract awarded in late 2007 and worth over $150 million to upgrade the existing Colombian Air Force Kfirs, and to supply additional jets. The additional Kfir jets, models C.10 C.12, have been upgraded and improved to include IAI's latest technologies and products. On July 20, 2009, a Kfir crashed near the city of Cartagena. The Israeli pilots operating the plane were unharmed in the incident, but the jet itself was destroyed. Israel Aerospace Industries said in a statement that the plane was flying a refresher flight, and that the aircraft didn't come to a stop on the landing strip, landing outside it. The director of the Israel Aerospace Industries announced that an investigation into the incident had already begun and that a panel to probe the crash had been appointed. On July 22, 2009, Israel Aerospace Industries informed the Colombian Air Force that the accident was caused by an unspecified human error. As a result, Israel Aerospace Industries will replace the unit lost with another one and it will resume delivery to the Colombian Air Force. On November 1, 2013, 2 Colombian Air Force IAI Kfirs intercepted Russian Air Force Tu-160s that had entered Colombian airspace. The Russian aircraft had taken off from Simon Bolívar International Airport, Venezuela. Ecuador. In 1981, Ecuador and Israel signed a sales agreement for 10 refurbished and new XIAF Kfir C.2s and 2 TC.2s, which were delivered to the Ecuadorian Air Force, FAE, in 1982-1983. The Kfirs formed the 2113RD Squadron, Lions, of the FAE's 21st Fighter Wing, based at Tora AFB, on the Ecuadorian Western Lowlands. The FAE Kfirs went into action during the 1995 Cenapa War between Ecuador and Peru. Relying on its fleet of subsonic A-37Bs for low-level ground attack missions on Peruvian positions, the Ecuadorian Air Force held back its Mirage F.1s and KFIR-C.2s for use as escorts and interceptors. On February 10, 1995, a KFIR-C.2 shot down a Peruvian Air Force Cessna A-37B with a Chauffeur 2IR homing AAM. In 1996, with tensions still running high between Ecuador and Peru, the Ecuadorians acquired 4 additional Kfirs, 3 C.2 and 1 TC.2, after securing approval from the U.S. State Department. In 1998, with its aging squadron of Sepakat Jaguar fighter bombers about to be withdrawn from active duty, Ecuador began talks with Israel for the sale of a new batch of 8 Kfirs. Fearing an escalation of the arms race in South America, Peru had recently acquired 18 MiG-29s and 18 Su-25s from Belarus. The United States blocked the deal. As an alternative, Ecuador and Israel signed an agreement in 1999 for the delivery of 2 KFIR-C.10s and for the conversion of an undisclosed number of the phase original C.2s to the C.10 version, referred to in Ecuador as KFIR-CE, featuring a helmet-mounted display system, and armed with Python 3 and Python 4 IR homing AAMs. By 2005, Ecuador had lost 4 Kfirs, including 1 TC.2, due to accidents since the aircraft entered service in 1982. Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka Air Force, SLAF, acquired 6 KFIR-C.2s and a single TC.2 in 1995–1996. A further 9 aircraft had been added to the inventory by 2005, including 4 C.2s and 4 C.7s acquired in 2000. Currently the SLAF operates 2 TC.2s, 2 C.7s and 6 C.2s by the No. 10 Fighter Squadron. The SLAF used their Kfirs to carry out attacks against LTTE rebels during the Sri Lankan Civil War in Sri Lanka. 2 KFIR-C.7s were destroyed on the ground in an LTTE attack on SLAF K2 Air Base, part of Bandaranak International Airport, on July 24, 2001. 3 others were lost in non-combat related accidents during the Civil War period. None were lost in aerial combat. In March 2011, 2 Kfirs collided in mid-air during an airshow practice sortie. Potential users. In the early 1990s, IAI was looking to export 40 KFIR-C fighters to Taiwan in a deal estimated to have been worth $400 million to $1 billion, however, the deal ultimately fell through. During 2013, the Argentine Air Force commenced negotiations with Israel for 18 KFIR Block 60 fighters as an alternative to another deal for 16 ex-Spanish Mirage F-1 fighters. During mid-2014, industry sources claim IAI will soon receive an order from the Argentine Air Force for KFIR Block 60s after their purchase of surplus Spanish Mirage F-1s failed. Variants. KFIR-C.1, Basic Production Variant. F-21A KFIR, 25 upgraded KFIR-C.1 aircraft were leased to the USN and USMC for an aggressor role and were designated F-21A Lion. These aircraft had been modified and included canards on the air intakes. These canards greatly improved the aircraft maneuverability and slow speed control, and were adopted on later variants. KFIR-C.2, an improved C.1 that featured many aerodynamic improvements. Changes included dog-toothed leading edges on the wings, small strakes under the nose and a larger sweep angle of the canards. KFIR-DC.2, a 2-seat training variant developed from the C.2. It has a longer and lowered nose to improve the pilot's view. KFIR-C.7, vastly modified variant. Most if not all C.2 aircraft were modified to this variant. It included an improved J79GE J1E engine that offered more 1,000 pounds of thrust at full afterburner, and as a result increasing the maximum takeoff weight by 3,395 pounds, 2 more hardpoints under the air intakes, better avionics such as the ELTA-L/M 2021B radar, HOTA's configured cockpit and in-flight refueling capability. Kfir DC.7, a two-seat training variant developed from the C.7. Kfir C.9, proposal for Argentina powered by Adder 9K50. Cancelled. Later developed as South Africa's Atlas Cheetah. Kfir C.10, a variant developed especially for export. The most important change is the adaptation of the ELTA-L/M 2032 radar. Other changes include HMD capability and two 127x177 mm MFDs. This variant is also known as Kfir-CE, Ecuadorian version, and Kfir-COA, Colombian version. Kfir DC.10, upgraded version of the TC.7 for the Colombian Air Force. Kfir C.12, upgraded version of the C.7 for the Colombian Air Force, AC-10 without the ELTA-L/M 2032 radar. Kfir TSNIUT, reconnaissance version of the C.2. Kfir Block 60, upgraded version of the C.10, the main feature of this variant is the use of AESA radar, proposed to the Bulgarian Air Force and Colombian Air Force. As of January 2014, Argentina is reported to be interested in a $500 million deal for 18 Block 60 to replace its planned acquisition of second-hand Mirage F1M from Spain. Operators. Current. Colombia. Colombian Air Force. 111 Combat Squadron. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Air Force. Former. Ecuador. Ecuadorian Air Force. Israel. Israeli Air Force. 101 Squadron. 109 Squadron. 113 Squadron. 144 Squadron. 149 Squadron. 254 Squadron. United States. United States Navy. United States Marine Corps. Was used as adversary fighter aircraft in the U.S. Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor, SFTI, program, popularly called Top Gun. Retired from U.S. Navy service in 1988 and U.S. Marine Corps service in 1989. Kfirs also doubled as MiGs in the 1985 TriStar Pictures movie Iron Eagle. Specifications, Kfir C.2. General characteristics. Crew, 1. Length, 15.65 m, 51 feet 4 1/4 in. Wingspan, 8.22 m, 26 feet 11 1/2 in. Height, 4.55 m, 14 feet 11 1/4 in. Wing area, 34.8 square meters, 374.6 square feet. Empty weight, 7,285 kilograms, 16,060 pounds. Loaded weight, 11,603 kilograms, 25,580 pounds, 2 500L drop tanks, 2 AAMs. Max takeoff weight, 16,200 kilograms, 35,715 pounds. Power plant, 1 times EL Bedek built General Electric J79J1E turbojet. Dry thrust, 52.9 knots, 11,890 pounds st. Thrust with afterburner, 79.62 knots, 17,900 pounds st. Performance. Maximum speed, 2,440 km per hour, 2 Mach, 1,317 knots, 1,516 miles per hour, above 11,000 m, 36,000 feet. Combat radius, 768 km, 415 nmi, 477 miles, ground attack, high-low high profile, 7 500 pounds bombs, 2 AAMs, 2 1,300L drop tanks. Service ceiling, 17,680 m, 58,000 feet. Rate of climb, 233 m/s, 45,950 feet/min. Armament. Guns, 2 times Raphael built 30 mm, 1.18 in, DEFA 553 cannons, 140 rounds/gun. Rockets, assortment of unguided air-to-ground rockets including the Matra JL-100 drop tank/rocket pack, each with 19 times SNEB 68mm rockets and 66 US gallons, 250 liters, of fuel. Missiles, 2 times AIM-9 Sidewinders or Shafrar or Python series AAMs, 2 times Shrike arms, 2 times AGM-65 Maverick ASMs. Bombs, 5,775 kilograms, 12,730 pounds, of payload on 9 external hardpoints, including bombs such as the Mark 80 series, Paveway series of LGBs, Griffin LGBs, SMKBs, Tall 1 or Tall 2 CBUs, Blue 107 Matra Durandal, reconnaissance pods or drop tanks. Role fighter bomber. National origin Israel. Manufacturer Israel Aircraft Industries. First flight June 1973. Introduction 1976. Status active. Primary users Israeli Air Force, historical. United States Navy, historical. Colombian Air Force. Sri Lanka Air Force. Number built 220 plus. Unit cost $4.5 million US. Developed from Dassault Mirage 5. IAI Nesher. Variants IAI Namur.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.